Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Real Spill, a podcast where I spill on all things multifamily advocacy and how we as industry professionals can work with our elected officials, stakeholders, and allies to bring about change for the rental housing industry. My guests are subject matter experts whose unique perspectives will help listeners understand how the issues impact them. Let's get into The Real Spill. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of The Real Spill here on the Multifamily Media Network. I'm your host, Katie Spillers, and with me today is, in the words of Keith Sweat, nobody. It's just me, and that's because I wanted to hop on just quickly. This probably won't take any more than about 20 minutes and give some pointers for developing relationships with newly elected officials in this next term, and also how to kickstart your PAC fundraising goals this year, how we marry all of those things together, and how to be an effective advocate starting now. So if you're new to my podcast, first of all, welcome. I'm Katie Spillers. I've been in the industry for over 23 years now. It might be, oh goodness, maybe 24, 25. It's been a while, y'all. So I was on site for over 20 years, been with the law firm of Loebsack and Brownlee for over 3 years now. I am the Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Program Administrator, and I also chair the South Carolina Apartment Association's Advocacy and Legislative Committee and the Upper State Apartment Association's Government Affairs Council over that, and served in 2024 as the NAA PAC Ambassadors Committee Chair, which, as it was made a standing committee last year, afforded me a spot on the NAA Board of Directors. And 18-year-old, just starting out in the industry, leasing consultant Katie was overwhelmed at that, but it's been a beautiful journey. It led me to where I am today, which is hosting a podcast here on this amazing network and bringing you guys what I hope to be information that you can use to be an effective industry advocate. Every other day, I have Google search words set up. So you're seeing a new this or a new that. Of course, I won't talk about pending litigation against members, clients, that kind of thing. We just don't do that. But you see the industry in the news, and I want to help folks effectively advocate. I was very blessed and honored a few years ago to be named NAA's Grassroots Advocate of the Year, and that's the Malcolm N. Bennett Award, and very proud of that. Also was very fortunate that NAA reached out to me last year and said, hey, we're going to start something new. It's called the Advocacy Academy, and we want you to help. And it was largely based on my ability to build effective relationships with members of Congress. I am a key contact for 3 members of Congress here in South Carolina. That's the 3rd District, the 4th District, and the 5th District. All 3 of those members of Congress are on 2 of our 3 big legislative priorities for NAA. This year, I'm serving on the NAA Legislative Committee. And if you don't know, NAA's Legislative Committee sets the priorities, once approved by the board, of course, but sets the priorities for the year. So what NAA's Legislative Committee will be deciding in the coming weeks, and we've already had a meeting, very productive. Part of what we do, there's a lot more in what we do there, but is setting these priorities so that when members come into DC for Advocate, which is also called a fly-in, that's what we are going to cover with our members of Congress. So I want to make sure everyone is off to the races on the right foot here at the beginning of the 119th Congress. So let's get into it. Okay. So hypothetically, and this is my reality, you have a member of Congress that is different in the 119th Congress than the 118th. Either they did not get reelected or they did not seek reelection, either or. What do you do? How do you start that relationship? Well, first, you need to find out who is their chief of staff and who is handling housing for that particular office. And it changes. So This year, I'll give you a real life example. Jeff Duncan, South Carolina, a 3rd District representative, which is my hometown. Jeff did not seek re-election. And we have our first ever Congresswoman from the 3rd District, Sherry Biggs. So what did I do? Last year, I start reaching out. How can I get in touch with Sherry Biggs? Quick Google search. That's all it takes, you guys. 2 minutes at the most. Found who her chief of staff would be, was elated to find out that it was a gentleman named Rick Atkins, which I hope to have on the podcast at some point. Rick worked for Jeff Duncan, and I'd reached out to him when I knew Jeff wasn't going to seek re-election and said, Rick, what you doing now? You going to stay in DC? He lives in Anderson, South Carolina. But are you going to stay with the 3rd District office? Because I know that happens. Well, he didn't know. Well, he did end up staying. So now I, and therefore the National Association, has the contact. And he wasn't Jeff's chief of staff. I don't think. I could have that wrong. But Rick is Sherry Biggs' chief of staff, and he was like my go-to. So if I had a PAC donation that I needed to get to him to get into Jeff's campaign account, I've met with him several times. And so I knew him. So that's the way that I started that conversation. And although it's January and it's early, and Advocate isn't until March 25th and 26th. So our fly-in, as they call it, lingo there for you, is the 26th. So I just said, hey, Rick, elated to see that you are still with the 3rd District. Excited to meet Congresswoman Biggs, or Representative Biggs. You can say either or, both are appropriate. When we come for our annual fly-in, I'll reach out to the scheduler. That's who you're making your meeting with, is the scheduler. So I learned this by trial and error. Like I said, I was very honored to help NAA start the first ever Advocacy Academy. And I was doing what Seth Turner called flying the plane while it was being built. I didn't know the method to the madness. There was nobody guiding me like, you need to do this or you need to do that. It was based on instinct. Okay, who do I contact? And if you heard our episode last week, or my episode with Victoria Cowart, if you've leased apartments, you can be an effective industry advocate. You have so much knowledge. I wish I could just shake folks, but you have no idea the wealth of knowledge that you are, and a difference you can make as an advocate. So was able to establish that contact very quickly. So let's bring it down to the state level. My senator, Dwight Loftus, did not seek re-election. He decided to retire in this past term, and let this past term be his last. So I happen to know that Representative of South Carolina, Jason Elliott, wanted to run for that seat. Well, I went to the debates. I watched them and was able to communicate with Jason. I was even invited to his watch party the evening that he ended up winning that re-election, or winning his election bid for senator. So he is now a senator, and I've established that rapport with him when he was a House of Representatives member. So I've got him right there. And I had a weird situation, y'all. I ain't going to lie. It got a little awkward. So my state representative, Adam Morgan, was running for the U.S. House of Representatives. So he ran for the seat is currently held by William Timmons, who is my congressman. And I met William when he had Dwight Loftus's seat. So William had the Senate seat 6 here in South Carolina before Dwight. William vacated that seat to run for the U.S. House of Representatives when Trey Gowdy did not seek re-election. So I've started at the state level because those state folks might ultimately run for the federal level, for the House or the Senate. So start local, and that trickle it back to the local level. And my city council, actually, I'm not in the city limits. So I have city council relationships a relationship with Dorothy Dow, who's going to run for mayor of Greenville when our current mayor, he's already said he's not going to seek re-election after this term. So I've got that relationship with her. I'm in Greenville County. My county council member is Steve Shaw. Y'all, he won't message me back. I'm doing the best I can. And that's all we can do, right? That's all we can do. So preaching to the choir here, just keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. And my schedule's a little different now, which should afford me the opportunity to attend more in person and not just have to watch online or get the agenda and the minutes and kind of put two and two together using what's on the county website. But that's a way, or those are all ways to develop relationships. You just use Google. Basically, you go to your city. If you're in the city limits, go to the city page. If you're in the county limits, you go to the county page. They have a way to look up who your elected official is. Reach out, invite them for coffee. Say, I'm a constituent. Would love to sit down with you and talk to you about my industry. There's also a wonderful website called weareapartments.org. I like to bring information from that website to my meetings because it's going to show you how many apartment units are in their district, what the economic impact of the industry is in their district, what type of jobs or the amount of jobs that are brought by the industry into their district. So it's really good information. You can do We Are Apartments. Hopefully you advertise with CoStar and hopefully you're a member of ALN data. So reach out to those folks and ask for that data because it's so important to those members. That's one of the ways I started my relationship with Dorothy Dow was, hey, Dorothy, we're having our kickoff meeting, which a lot of the affiliates are doing right now. You're having your kickoff meetings, your forecast. What's the market going to look like? Well, you know who wants to know that? Your elected officials. So reach out. They want to come. Invite them there. See what your affiliate can do to make them feel welcome. I'm a member of the Upper State Apartment Association here in South Carolina, and Dorothy has come to several meetings. And if you can't get like your member of Congress or your actual elected official, sometimes someone from their staff can come. So William Timmons, he's our 4th district, which is the bulk of the upstate, the bulk of our membership. He has his constituent services representative come to the majority of our meetings so that he can go back and report and say, this is what our rental housing folks are doing. These are the issues that they're having. So this is a great time of the year to do that. If you hadn't thought about that, invite them. If you have, sometimes it's award season, like it's award season for Upper State right now. And for several affiliates that I can think of off the top of my head, Myrtle Beach, invite your elected officials. That reminds me, and I try to keep it moving as far as this goes to spread. So when I get off of here, I'm going to email the president of the board for Myrtle Beach and say, hey, y'all have your awards coming up. See about inviting the representative, which Russell Fry down there in that area. See if he can come or a member of his team. It's a great thing, good way to show them who we are and what we do. But that economic forecast is going to be important to them. And if they can't come, a member of their team may be able to. So they're in office. We want to help them stay in office, right? Well, especially if they're a friend to the industry. If you meet with them and it's a good situation, please communicate that information to your local affiliate, your state affiliate. If you don't have a machine or like a government affairs director, like South Carolina, we have a lobbyist. We don't have a paid, like specific government affairs director. I am the chair of the South Carolina Apartment Association's Advocacy and Legislative Committee. So I take on a lot of that, but let them know who you are. What do you do? Invite them in. They want to be there. They want to have the information. And like once you've got that information to whoever your state, like if it's somebody like me, if it's your chair, or if you have a paid government affairs director for the state, like some states do, let that person know because your relationships are important. You may have gone to high school with someone. You may have gone to the same college. You just never know what you have in common and what ground you can build on. And same thing with leasing, right? You try to find, like they buy from you, right? Apartments are by and large a lot the same. Floor plans vary a little bit, but they're buying from you. People buy from who they like. You're just developing that relationship with someone different. It's not a prospective renter. It's your elected official. And so you let your folks who are in charge of the government affairs for your local and state and even national, if it's for NAA, message somebody, whether it's Seth Turner would be my recommendation. or if you know who your lobbyist is, like here in South Carolina, there's Maria Spencer, who is one of the hardest working ladies in multifamily. She's going to come on the podcast closer to the Advocate conference and give listeners a little more of an overview of what the issues are going to be going into this, because tax reform is going to be a big one. And I don't speak that like a second language. I'll be the first to tell you this is the real spill and that's the real me. I don't know a whole lot about it. But if you tell it to me in terms that I can understand, I can meet with someone and have a conversation, an intelligent conversation. And then when they start digging and probing for those deeper questions, you can always refer them back to NAA. So talked briefly, kind of alluded to NAA PAC as far as helping them stay in office. This is also a great time to go ahead and plan your PAC fundraising events. And I'm going to use this opportunity to plug what we call a business exchange. That is the largest bolster to the Upper State Apartment Association's PAC. And so the PAC for NAA. We don't have a local PAC. South Carolina does not have a local or a state PAC. We only fundraise for NAA PAC. So if you are in a state that has multiple PACs, North Carolina, for instance, a lot of the affiliates have their own PAC. Those funds can go to help people that are in the local area stay in office. Your state PAC, like you could back a city or county council member. Ultimate goal for me, something I have on my wish list, vision board, if you will, is to be able to interview folks who are running for office, see where they stand on our issues and say, okay, we can endorse this person. And it have weight, for that to have weight. But it takes more people than just me, myself, and I, or whoever it is in your area to do that. So that's why we need more people. Like I cannot stress that enough. Like I feel like I could stand on my head because we need more people. Like just whatever it takes, we need more people to tell the real stories and keep our elected officials informed of who we really are, because otherwise they're going to hear things that aren't true. Okay. So once you have started fundraising for PAC for NAA, that's going to be to keep your federal elected officials in place. And NAA has a current formula that comes up with what each affiliate's fair share is. So that is based on $2 per member that they have plus 5 cents per unit that they represent. So if you do the math, all you have to do is call your association executive or email them. Hey, how many units do we have and how many members do we have? And you do the math and you know how much you have to raise that year. This is part of NAA's gold standard. So it's important for an affiliate to know how much they need to raise and to host events that help bolster the PAC. So Upper State Apartment Association's Business Exchange is coming up on February the 11th. Super excited because this is the first that we've had that's going to be in person since the pandemic. Right now, y'all, I need my nails done. So I'm on my left hand. So I'm going to throw this up. I'm seeing Tracy tomorrow, y'all. My nail lady, she's wonderful. But we have 3 management companies. That's not okay, guys. That's not okay. We have 13 suppliers who have signed up. Management companies, this is free for you. The Hyatt, the room that we have is the Teal Ballroom. And those of you who were at Mike Holmes' induction as NAA chairman of the board in 2019 for the 2020 year, this is in one of the ballrooms we used at the Assembly of Delegates conference when it was held here in Greenville, South Carolina. It's close to the parking garage. You can literally park if, God forbid, it's bad weather. But if it is, you don't have to worry about getting in the rain or whatever the weather throws at us at that point. You can come right from the parking garage and go into the ballroom. We just need your time. It's 1 to 5. We're looking at the menu now. The Hyatt actually has a really good menu. So we're going to have a bar. We're going to have appetizers, lots of opportunity for networking, and we need you. We need you. So please, management companies, it needs to be a regional or higher, like a decision maker. So your regional marketing, your regional maintenance, those folks all qualify. Or if it's someone on the company level that does those things, we need you. And it's to keep our industry protected, think of a PAC donation as an investment in the future protection of our industry. Because if we can get these meetings with the members of Congress, and they'll coach you, like NAA, like if you are interested, I'm assuming they're doing an advocacy academy this year. I'd love to help them again with it. It was a really cool experience. So it's held at the Rawls Conference. The Rental Housing and Legal Summit used to be the Government Affairs Roundtable. This year it's going to be held in Denver, Colorado. It's a great experience. They train you up and then you're called Federal Political Specialist or FPS. It's a really cool thing. Very prestigious. A lot of applications are received. And I know I nominated 5 folks that I think very highly of here in the upstate to be part of the inaugural class. And a few of them were chosen. I felt really good about that. So you can go and get trained, but if you just need the information on the fly, reach out to me, reach out to Seth Turner. You can say, Katie, how do I do this? Message me on LinkedIn. Want to develop a relationship. I'm happy to help you. I know Seth would be too, but they're also gearing up for the Advocate conference. So NAA is really busy right now. As a volunteer, happy to help give you some pointers, but I'm giving them right here in a general sense of what you can do to be an effective advocate. So you can plan a business exchange. And the way that that works is it's like speed dating, but it's management companies and suppliers. And the management companies set up their tables. And it's a large room. We have the tables and chairs on the outside of the room, food in the middle, and your management company, bring your swag. Like we're doing, we love our supplier relationships. It's February 11th. So right there at Valentine's Day. So decorate your table, set up, have your community or company swag there. And your management companies have 5 minutes with a supplier. The suppliers pay, and their payment is a PAC donation. PAC donations for NAA have to be a personal contribution from an individual. That particular type of PAC is set up to only operate that way. There are some PACs where they can accept funds from a corporation. And this is how this one is set up. And I do believe, and Jim and Rob with NAA PAC can correct me if I'm wrong, that they can accept from an LLC. So if your property is Apartment Community A, LLC, talk to your management company and see if they are able to make that donation. Or if your company, like I said, for this particular event is where the suppliers pay. If you have an LLC, it can probably work. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to come out of a personal pocket if it's an LLC. NAA PAC can accept LLCs. If I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am. I wouldn't say it on here if I wasn't pretty sure there. But so the supplier partners are paying, and that goes directly to NAA PAC. If you do these early in the year, like we are in February, then likely, with numbers I was sent earlier today, we've already met our fair share for the year, and it'll be February. And a cool thing about that is if you go to the Advocate conference, in each of the committee meetings up on the screen, they recognize and acknowledge affiliates who have met their fair share. So that's pretty cool. Excited to say that the Upper State Apartment Association came in second in Region 4. Behind Atlanta for PAC fundraising in 2024. And it's a huge deal because 75 cents of each dollar you raise over your fair share goes to what's called an affiliate share. So that's discretionary spending. And I want to get to make your eyes cross, because I just learned about this last year too. So I know if I've been doing this for a while and it was new to me, probably new to you too. There's something called an LPAC. So we had maxed out on one of our members because you can only give $5,000 per member each year. It's just how the PAC works for NAA. And we could give to the LPAC is a leadership PAC. So say I'm the member of Congress. Say the affiliate's already tapped out. They give me $5,000. But say I was seeking re-election and I need alliances, allegiances, and support of my fellow representatives or senators. If someone makes a donation to my LPAC, then I could give that to Representative Joe Blow, because that person may be having some fundraising woes or what have you. But that's like they're at their discretion. They can give that to any representative they want. So that's another way to work it. That's a good thing about being able to raise over your fair share too. So you can do the business exchange where they all get the 5 minutes and you're speed dating. Another thing you can do to start raising funds early this year, as we're having a lot of the kickoff meetings, a lot of the awards ceremonies and things coming up, you can have a raffle. So say you find like a really cool tech thing, we've done Bluetooth speakers, we've done all kind of stuff. You can have a raffle. So pay $25, enter this raffle. And then you draw at the end of the night, but all of the funds or go to NAA PAC. You can have, I'm going to put more work on Rob Johnson's plate with an APAC, but he can develop a raise link is what they call it. Raise, Raz. You hear it kind of pronounced differently, but they can create a raise link for the donations to go to. So that all that the members who are in attendance will do is scan a QR code. My recommendation is to set up a pin for your raise. Once you get in there and start, for lack of a better word, fiddling with it, then you can set up your PIN. So mine automatically recognizes me. So when I go to make a donation, if it's at an event, it'll say enter your PIN, and I do, and it automatically pops up all of my information. What information is it popping up? My home address, who I work for. That is important for campaign finance law compliance. So that information is saved and is reported. And there's a disclaimer at the bottom too. But you can do those those raffles. You can do a 50-50 raffle too if you're raising, like half goes to PAC, half goes to the person if they draw or whatever. But that's only if you're doing cash. If you do accept cash as PAC donations, most of the time people end up donating the cash back to the PAC anyway. But then you would need to have slips from NAA that give you the same information as the raise link as far as that home address, your employer, contact information, that kind of thing. So you can do that. As it warms up, if you're looking to do some type of like a carnival, which is something that we have on our 2025 agenda as a PAC fundraiser for the Upper State Apartment Association, you can do like tickets. But the ticket sales all go to PAC. And we already have some vendors lined up as far as like bounce house, face painting. We're going to do a cakewalk. And there's a way to do all of that and benefit in APAC. So as you're starting your year, build the relationships with your members on the local, state, and federal level. Start your PAC fundraising right now. I think a lot of folks were, and I heard this at the Assembly of Delegates conference, like, oh, with the change in administration, we're not going to have to worry as much. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And these relationships are going to be more important than ever. A lot of them are going to go, a lot of the issues, like we may not see rent control on a federal level, but you know where we might see it? On a state level. So these relationships are very important. Go ahead and kick off your year right. Those are just a few of my tips there. And another call to action, if you're a management company and you have units in Upper State Apartment Association's area, we need you to sign up. Reach out to myself, reach out to Courtney, so we can get you signed up, because we have a lot more than 3 management companies here. And we all, well, I felt like I'm still on site. I'm obviously not, but I'll still say we. Management companies and properties are always in need of good suppliers. There are always new products and services that are out there. And it's also a way to have some FaceTime with a current supplier. Maybe you have a question. Your current supplier will be there most likely, and you have that FaceTime with them. And that's invaluable. And it's not taking away from whatever it is that you're doing in the office that day, because you've already made the time to be out of the office. So give you a little excuse to get out of the office for a little bit. And you have that FaceTime with them. Plus you'll have some good food, some networking. We're going to have a silent auction too. Mike Holmes has been kind enough to donate a lunch with him for the silent auction. So that's a really cool thing, guys. I don't know how many people have the opportunity to have lunch with a prior NAA chairman of the board, an NAA Hall of Fame inductee, a South Carolina Apartment Association Hall of Fame inductee. So we'll have that. We're working on some more items there for the silent auction, but it's so important to continue to advocate for my folks that were in the Advocacy Academy. Go ahead. If you haven't heard, if Seth's busy, go on ahead, reach out to your newly elected official. Go ahead and start that relationship. Let them know we're coming. If you don't have anybody that's scheduling your advocate meetings there, it's okay to go ahead and reach out and say, I just want to flag your schedule. Just want to flag your calendar here. Our fly-in for the National Apartment Association is March 26th. So see who their scheduler is. And you can also Google. Legistorm has some of the information, but a good old-fashioned Google search goes a long way. So you can find who their scheduler is. Reach out, get on their books. It's time. We're all in this together and looking to do a series here soon on advocate preparedness, and want to give you a little teaser of someone that is a trailblazer. I use that word a lot, but this is like a real just shero of the industry that is going to be coming onto the podcast as a guest here in the next couple of weeks. I've got several folks. We're going to talk about some things that are going on. Yeah, I'm in South Carolina, but some folks are going to come on from the West Coast. Excited about that. And someone very instrumental and who has broken a record basically with NAA, who's in a position that no one like her has ever been in before. So give you a little teaser there. Really honored to have her come on in the next few weeks, and going to have some guests from the Advocacy Academy too, and sharing their experience, hopefully encouraging folks to submit an application for the 2025 class, because like I've said, and I'll continue to say and preach, it takes a village. It takes all of us, and we all have a seat at the table. We all have a unique story. The things that we've been through on site or as a supplier partner are relevant. A lot of the things we see in the news about the industry are coming from the bad actors. They're not hearing from the folks that are doing it right. And they need to hear from us. If you collect a check from the rental housing industry, then you have vested interest in its future protection. And with that, I'll leave you guys today. Thank you for listening in. I'll see you next time on The Real Spill here on the Multifamily Media Network. And that's a wrap on today's episode of The Real Spill, a podcast where I spill on all things multifamily advocacy and how we as industry professionals can work together with our elected officials, stakeholders, and allies to bring about change for the rental housing industry. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've learned something new. Now, go be a voice. Until next time, Spills out.